um, if you think about a marriage, you can't just be interested in a marriage. You have to be committed to it, don't you? So it's all relatable. It's all relatable. So whatever we decide to be focused on, it's are you interested in it or are you committed to it? And I think that's a really interesting point. So thank you for raising that, Britt. It was a good observation. I watched that last week, so appreciate your words. Great. So I will hit record and then we'll get to it. And yeah, I would like some lively conversations. Um, just to give you, as we're already recording, that's good. Just to give you a bit of background, if for any reason, if this call fails or if there's any problem with my internet here in the hotel, Andy Ward has very kindly got the slides and he's also able to step in and help me out as well. So fingers crossed, it looks good. So we'll press on. But great to have you all here. And yeah, let's get stuck into interested or committed. I think it's such an important subject because many people they have a little interest in something, but they don't fully commit. They don't say, yes, this is what I'm going to do. And certainly when I got my head around writing my book, my first book, and then setting myself up as a coach, I knew for 10 years that's what I wanted to do. I just didn't quite have the skills to be able to do it, but I knew I was committed to it and I knew I was going to do it. And I think that's the difference. Some people would just be, oh, well, it's a nice little wish or a nice little dream. But actually, the key point is very much about making sure that we are fully committed to whatever we would like to do. So full commitment, to Emma and Frankie in my personal life, full commitment to writing books, full commitment to coaching, full commitment to these calls. All of this stuff is what I'm committed to. I'm sure you see that. Now think about yourselves. Think about yourselves. Where's your commitment going? What is it that you are going to make happen, no matter what? You know, I think it's a very, very interesting question. And I'm going to ask each of you as well to share as we go through. I think it'll be really interesting. So you all know the rules. Please do rename with your e-colours if you know them. You can see mine says Y/R as yellow/red. Please manage your microphone, your webcam, etc. And do contribute your thoughts, feelings, and ideas because it's very, very important that we all share and learn from one another. Okay, so very, very important that we have that in place. Great. So that's what we're doing. Success mindset in all areas, whatever we're doing, making sure that we actually progress our lives the way we would like them to go. And that commitment needs to be understanding who you are, understanding that big gratitude for all things at all times, believing in yourself, having confidence in yourself and others, purpose, vision, goals that you create for your life and potentially for your families and your loved ones so that you all buy into it together. Business as well, you all buy into it together to make it work. That positive mental attitude, continually cultivated, not in a horrible way, as in you just got to be positive, but actually in a way that, well, if I've got some issues that I'm not positive about, then I need to work through those in order that I can get to the positive mental attitude. But I'm certainly not that sort of person who bangs the drum about must be positive all of the time. You've got to work through things to get there. But when you do get there, it's utopia. It's fantastic. And then, of course, your leadership, your teamwork, how you create things, and then when you get to money and to growth. We often say, don't we, if you could be a millionaire on your own, you already be one. At the end of the day, it's very much about teamwork, bringing people together, getting that level of cooperation, not competing with each other, but cooperating with each other, so that you get to where you want to be, you get to be successful, and you can be happy with your success. Lewis often talks about legacy, doesn't he? Very much about, being able to look back at your life and say, yeah, I think he said last week that there's some things he's done that he wasn't particularly pleased with when he was younger. I can say the same. But actually, very much about being happy with yourself and then creating your legacy as you go. You all know me by now with all of my percentages, my green potential limiter, my data, my analytical thinking, that turns up quite often. And it's something that, particularly in writing books and collaborating with other people who are top color green, it's very important for me to understand my limitation and then be able to work on it with them so that we all benefit together. And being open-minded enough and be able to accept the criticism that, perhaps there's times when I do need to dip into that green percentage more than I do. So let me ask you a question. Two questions actually. Are you successful right now? Now, most people would say, yes, of course I'm successful. Okay, yes, you are. You know, if you've got food, clothing, shelter, um, you're being successful. Yeah, of course you are. But then are you exactly where you'd like to be? Is there more that you could be doing? Is there more you would like to do? I often say that every healthy human being is committed to growth. So, what growth are you being committed to? Yes, your personal growth, but also growth of yourself, others around you. So, have a little think about this. Um, and please, anyone unmute and please do use the chat box or unmute and speak. I'd love to hear from you. Are you being successful? And are you exactly where you'd like to be? There's two different questions there. It might be, yes, I am being successful, but no, I'm not exactly where I'd like to be. Okay, let's hear a little bit about that as well. Because I know from personal perspective, I am being successful and I'm exactly where I'd like to be. I'm always driven to do more, be more, have more. And I think that's important. Nicola, you got your hand up.
Yeah, so I was just going to answer those two. Am I successful? It depends on what the definition of successful is. I think I've done
Well,
25
in
years.
your in your
Oh,
definition, Nicola.
in my definition, I've done 25 years of corporate life. It's brought me to this place. I don't want to do corporate life anymore. Brought me to this place. And I'm not exactly where I'd like to be because I'm working on it, e-colors, and to work on being a successful e-color practitioner. So I'm exploring at the moment.
Brilliant, thank you. And what a great answer. And that's good, isn't it? Because that brings you that drive, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you. Andy.
I would say, yes, I believed myself to be successful, and I am exactly where I wanted to be until you and I spoke and I became your coaching clients, and you gave me a massive kick up the backside and said, come on, Wardy, you've still got 20, 30 years left in you now. You need to fix up, mate, and start making some changes. And it was the best thing you ever did for me. Thank you.
Well, mate, I'm massively, massively grateful for you saying those words. And yeah, look, you're being successful. You're living a dream, aren't you? And a dream that you really enjoy. And then there's always more, isn't there? There's always something else that you could be doing. And looking forward to our um, personalities remix session on Saturday with people, where we're going to just introduce more people to this interesting work that we do. Right. So thank you, mate. Danielle, you got your hand up.
Thanks. Yes, Mark. Yeah, I think I am. For me, let's just start on one success is I went to my first AA meeting last night. And so I'm
Very
really
good.
proud of myself. It's been a very, very long journey, very rocky road for me. Not that it's been out of control, but I just feel that my relationship isn't a great one. And on that note, I've got a life coach. I went to AA. I've got almost 2 years of unemployment, and I'm actually really good. I didn't think that this is where I would be. So it's an answered prayer. So compared to where I thought I'd be, I'm exactly where I need to be, and
Mm.
doing everything that I need to do. I'm open water swimming. I'm starting my own business. I'm living the dream that I had for myself 10 years ago. And so I'm only looking forward to doing even more because I think, once you've reached your dream, you can't stay there. You've got to keep on growing. So, yes, I think I'm successful. Thanks.
Absolutely brilliant share, absolutely. And yeah, you're either growing or you're dying, I think, in life, and the key point there around the alcohol as well. Best thing I ever did 20 years ago, just stop drinking. It's just pointless. I'm spending what am I doing? I'm spending money to give myself a toxic, I have a bit of a laugh, but then have a toxic hangover for a day or more and feel like crap, and then not able to add value to people. Just not just it's not a sensible thing to do. I'm sorry to, just talking to myself here, but it's just not a sensible thing to do to drink alcohol. Certainly not lots of it. So really key point. But yeah, well done, Daniel. Fantastic. And yeah, great questions that we're asking here. Thank you, Mike. You got your hand up.
Yeah, sorry I haven't been before, but
That's all right. Great to see you.
I'm here now.
Good.
I don't have 25, 30 years because I'm going to be 75 in 3 weeks.
Wow. You don't
But
look that, mate.
yeah, thank you. But I'm not, in terms of income, no, I'm not being successful just now. I'm a speaker with a really determined purpose to raise people's ambition levels and to get people thinking more creatively in the workplace, actually everywhere. But we have lots of problems at the moment that are facing us. And the one thing Britain lacks in tackling problems is imagination. We are
Mm,
chronically short when we compare ourselves with, say, the Scandinavians and, well, actually,
mm,
many countries, most countries. And that's the space I want to be in. And I was very, very busy a few years ago, but now the competition level, because everyone's a speaker now, everyone's a
mm,
keynote speaker. So I have to try and niche myself a bit
mm.
more cleverly than I am just now, which is where I want to be. Um, you know, occupying a space that no one else is occupying and being in a place where I'm earning good money. That's it. But I'm not there.
Brilliant, Mike. That's fantastic. No, that's fine. But the point is that Lewis Senior who's on these calls, he's 74 yesterday. He's not here today, but we are all driven. We're all driven to keep
Yeah.
adding value to people's lives, keep succeeding. And I think it's an important place. So you're in the right place, Mike. It's great to see you. Great to have you
Thank you.
here. And it'd be great to have another conversation with you separately as well, because certainly writing books is a good thing to do. Differentiating yourself, putting yourself out there, and stuff like that as well. So.
Yeah.
And with the years of experience you have, I think it'd be very important to share that.
Mhm.
Good man. Thank you, mate. Fantastic. If I just refer back to the chat box, Paul Grant. Paul, can you unmute for a moment just about your comment? I think it's really interesting. You there, Paul? He's probably searching for his mute button. While I wait for
He's
Paul.
actually disabled his camera, so he may have stepped away from the desk.
No, that's fine. He's saying he can't talk today. That's fine, no problem. What about Duncan? Duncan, can you speak? Can you share what you've put in there?
Hello, mate. I can speak. Can you hear me though? Because I'm on Bluetooth.
Yes. No, all
Hello.
good.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I put in the chat. I don't think I'll ever accept the term successful because I wonder if it will rob me of my drive. And
Mm.
it's my mindset isn't like, oh, I'll show them. It's it's that I have quite a low tolerance of boredom. And I've always got to be doing something, and that it doesn't necessarily have to be productive, but I have to be creating something. So that my wife says the worst thing that could ever happen to me is to win the lottery, and she's right. Because I mean, not have something. I don't really have clear goals, but I've got to be doing something. I've got to be creating something. I've got to be, and once I do something, I don't really sit around and smell the flowers. It's on to the next thing and on to the next thing and on to the next thing. So I just
Yeah.
wonder if I feel kind of content in success, whatever that means. Well, I think that would it rob me of inspiration and that spark.
What I can share about that really helped me, and you and I both top color yellows, in this world, and
Mm.
so we share a lot in common there. But Bob Proctor said to me many years ago when I was just going into my sort of being coach journey, he said, Mark, you should be 95% satisfied and 5% dissatisfied driven. And that's really going to help you balance that out so you can be happy in the moment at all times. And yet you've still got that, that push, that right, and it's Lewis Senior actually talks about his daughter, Laura, who's a top color red, and he calls her a doaholic. Which is quite interesting, right? It's quite an interesting one because I think, rather than just be, doing, it's very much what you said, Duncan, about the creative aspect, isn't it, as well? And being creative is an important one. So yeah, I think it's always a balance for all of us, and it could be in any area. And of course, you've got, wife and children and everything else, to work with as well. So there's a lot on your plate, but I think it's great to understand that success comes in many forms, and the point is that commitment, that drive to succeed with what you would like to succeed with. So thank you, Duncan. I really appreciate that.
Well, I
Great,
think
great
I
show.
would I get more pleasure out of other people's success. So anyone
Yeah,
that's worked with me on a team, I'm more interested and I get more, almost like I would get more pleasure out of an assist than a goal. It's like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, right, it's just as valuable, but it's raised somebody else. I'll get off the mic now.
No, no, but that's brilliant. And actually, with that attitude, that's the same attitude that I certainly learned to have past the DJing and past the dance floor into what I do now. I very much learned that, and actually, that someone else succeeding actually reflects back on us without us even, needing the ego or wanting it to happen. It just reflective. So it's really interesting, Duncan. But great angle for everybody. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Paul Hutchinson, you had your hand up there. You made a nice comment to Mike there about in the chat box. Did you want to share something, Paul?
Yeah, just to quickly for that one for Mike, he can still share the same area as everyone else, but it's his style that would be different. So don't ever think that you can't do the same or join the same pigeonhole as those others, if that's what you want to, if that's what I can call it for a sec. But yeah, your personality and the way you do things will be completely different to everyone else. So
Very
people will
much.
still be attracted to you. And
Very
Duncan,
much.
I was where you were, where I'm constantly moving and constantly thinking of new things to do. And I got to a point where I wasn't celebrating my successes either. I bought this diary called the Legend Planner on Amazon. It's like 25 quid. And I started to write down my achievements for the week and what I achieved. Then I'd also do like a monthly review of things that I'd achieved. And when I started writing down what I'd actually achieved, then I was like, shit, I'm actually doing pretty well here. And I start to celebrate those wins and even monetize them. So if I get a new client now as my social media business, I'll treat myself to something, like whether it be like a pair of Apple headphones or something. I'll go and get a massage, or so I've now started doing things like that where I give myself a little reward when I achieve something.
Absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
great shout, Paul.
Could you tell
And,
us the name of that diary again, Paul? Sorry.
Yeah, it's called the Legend Planner. It's brilliant. It's got like all the pages that they're not dated. You date them yourself, but there's different sections where you can plan your week, review your month, and plan your month as well. It's brilliant. So it was a game changer for me.
I think that's a really important thing. That's a really interesting top green perspective as well, Paul, and something that's very helpful, I think, for detailed people for sure. And actually, I can relate to it completely, even with my less detailed perspective, because I was challenged at the age of 45 or even 40 when it was said to me, write down all your successes, because I spent a lot of time thinking about all my failures because I'd had quite a few in my 30s. And someone said, write down all your successes. And if you go to chapter 14 of Life Remixed, I literally celebrate all my successes from the age of 4 years of age, learning to ride a bicycle, right through to 50 years of age of writing Life Remixed. And it was a really, really positive, cathartic experience. So, Paul, brilliant share, mate. Thank you for that. Fantastic work. Leona, hi. Got your hand up. How are you?
Hi, Mark. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Apologies, I didn't get back to you over the weekend. I will do
No,
soon.
that's
Go
okay,
on.
no problem. I've had a nightmare weekend myself.
Okay.
No, I was just going to pick up on what Duncan was saying about, can you ever really call yourself successful? I kind of my view is always there's always things to learn, there's always things to achieve. And, I know we tend to think of sometimes success in terms of money or health, so we have to be becoming millionaires or running marathons or whatever. But, I just kind of think like for as long as you're living, you should be learning and trying to achieve something. That it could be anything. It could be like learning a musical instrument. It could be learning a language. It could be, because once you've done these things, they're all things you can add. Can you add that string to your bow, sort of thing? So I don't think I kind of agree with what Duncan was saying. I don't think can you really call yourself successful if there's, and some, maybe you can maybe say I'm successful in certain aspects, but I think there's always things to learn, So I think it's maybe a danger in kind of saying, right, well, I'm successful now, because it's almost like putting a full stop on things. It's like saying, I've learned everything, I've done everything I could do, and realistically, there's never going to be enough lifetime for any of us to do all the things that we really want to do.
I think that's a really interesting take, and I think, I certainly feel, that you've come a long way in your own personal journey, right? I mean, if I may say, you had your health challenges, not dissimilar to myself, So to see you this bright, and happy, like when we saw each other on at the weekend, it's really great to see. And that mindset that you've got there about continual journey, continual improvement. Where else can I go with this? What else can I do with it? I think everyone can take that on board and really, really work with it. And it's the consistent, committed approach to that mindset that is actually success, isn't it? Because no one could knock you off course when you're on that. You're on that commitment and you're there. So brilliant, Leona. Thank you so much. That's a great shout. Britt Lee says, "Are we thriving?" Is a question we ask ourselves. It's brilliant. Yeah, brilliant, Britt Lee. Fantastic. Definitely. Asking each other. And bringing children. I don't have children, as you know, but bringing children in. My niece and nephew. We bring them on. We talk to them. We coach them really about them growing and developing. Not living in a place of fear and stuff that some of us might have lived through, so that's really, really important. So great share, everybody. Fantastic. Thank you. Dawn, you've got your hand up.
I was going to share with you that my thoughts around success they're not linear, and it's not a yes or no. Because we're all multifaceted and we've all got different areas of our lives where we might be really successful in one area and not so much in the others, even though one can impact the others for sure. If your health, for example, it's going to affect everything. But ultimately, I used to be this is going to sound like I'm bragging, but for example, I used to be considered one of the top 2 umpires in the world at umpiring hockey. Is that success? I don't know. I mean, it was in that moment in time. It was brilliant.
Great point. Great point.
It's a moment in time.
Mhm.
I'm still the same person. I'm still me. So am I considered that success factor? But we change and evolve and we do different things, and our needs change and our desires change. So actually,
Yeah.
we might have a different goal. So what we considered successful yesterday might not be successful today.
And Dawn, you make a brilliant point. Thank you. I've watched a lot of sports documentaries, a lot of football coaches, Jose Mourinho, Jurgen Klopp, Alex Ferguson. I watched the Netflix documentary on The Last Dance, with the basketball with Phil as the coach. And they all say the same thing. You're only successful at the moment you create the successful act. So you're successful in that moment when you succeed at, winning a trophy. And then the next day, it's back to it so that you can continue that success again. So again, it's a really interesting observation. And if we all keep that mindset until our last breath on this planet, then we'll continue to be successful. I think it's a really interesting share. Thank you, Dawn. I'll keep going. Martin,
I'm just going to
Dubai.
share something that that's prompted me to think about this. You're only successful as your last performance.
Yep.
Whatever that may be.
Very much so. That's right. And if it doesn't go well, then it's a learning event. Or if it's a success, celebrate it and then get back to it. Right. So I think I might have been guilty of over celebrating sometimes over the years. But anyway, that's fantastic. Thank you. Martin in Dubai there in the chat box says success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you're doing, you'll be successful. Great quote, Martin. Thank you. If you want to unmute, Martin, you're welcome to, but I appreciate you might be in a busy office. So but really interesting. Hi, Martin.
Yeah, it's not very often you get me on camera.
Yeah, good to see you, mate.
Yeah, good to be back on. Sorry I was a wee bit late, trying to get from one meeting to the other. We've had this conversation before, Mark, about success and happiness. I think when people possibly look at what I do in my role, they'll think, yeah, you're successful. But it's not for me, it's about the career. I set goals and I achieve them, and I'll go for the next one and I achieve it. And we've had this. I think for myself, in terms of career-wise, yeah, I'm happy. But the second part, are you exactly where you'd like to be? No, I'm not. And I think it's the end plan. It's when this coming up to another couple of years here in the corporate world, and then after that is moving into, as I call it, the retirement, but giving back phase. So I'm mentoring them now, doing lots of stuff. But I think that's where I'll be, hopefully 2 years' time, pushing out that final bit with a happiness.
Yes, absolutely. Brilliant,
Not
mate.
about the
Thank you.
sunshine, don't be fooled with the glitz and glamour in Dubai. You've been out here, you know what it's like.
I know it's very hot at the moment.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, mate. Fantastic. Look, what a great conversation to get us going today. And look, really, I think we can learn a lot from each other there. But yeah, success is ongoing. It's a mindset. It literally, Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, is all about how you think. And if you're going to think like a millionaire, you're going to think like a millionaire. If you're going to think like a really successful parent, you're going to think like a really successful parent, and anything else in between. But it's how you think. It's what thoughts you're entertaining, and then how you feel day in, day out, and what success you go with. So brilliant. Thank you for all of that. So whatever it is that we define our own successes and whatever we think about for ourselves, are you interested in it, or are you fully committed? So from my perspective, are you interested in controlling what you think and making those positive thoughts, or are you committed to that and making sure that you do it and go to the mind gym, every single day? Are you surrounding yourself with audiobooks and great information? Are you continually growing? Are you continually learning? Are you sharing what you've learned with other people? Because once you learn stuff, you want to share it with other people. They just find ways to do that as well. We all talk about certain success. Some people might do it more than others, and it could well be, an ego thing for some people. But you tend to see that quite easily. And actually, a lot of very, very strong egos can actually be masking some fear, which is quite an interesting thing to start to think about. But we all have our goals, our dreams, our aspirations. Some people may dream to be, a mother or a father. Some people will dream to be a business owner. Some people will dream to be known globally for what they do. There's no right or wrong here. But the question, are you interested or committed, still comes up in every single one. Are you interested or are you committed? The difference between the two is absolutely huge. And you see it in people. And you can see it very, very easily, quite quickly. Not with judgment, with just observation. Just observe people, let them be themselves. But if they're interested, you'll see it. But if they're committed, you will see that. And I think that makes a huge difference. Okay. Being interested means you like the idea of something, but being committed means you'll do whatever it takes. And you'll notice in brackets there, I've put in brackets, without ever hurting another human being. That is the true definition of a genius. It's being able to get what you want out of life without ever hurting another human being. And I think that's a really beautiful thing and something to consider from our person closest to us right through to someone you don't even know on the other side of the world. Making sure that you do everything you possibly can there. It's the game changer. Interest is exciting, it's fleeting. Oh yeah, I'm interested in that. You might put your toe in the water, but you don't fully get involved. You don't dive in. You don't really go for it. Whereas commitment is very much about, it's just consistency. It just keeps on going, keeps on going. You are all in. There's no excuses. There's no shortcuts. It will happen because you have committed and you have decided it will happen. And with that in mind, that's where success lays, in whatever your chosen choice is. So which one describes you? And which one describes the people you're spending most time with? I believe now, because I've made my commitments to success in all areas, that actually I'm surrounded by people that are also successful, and we drive each other on. And for me, that's a joy. It wasn't always that way, as you may have read about in Life Remixed, but certainly key points. There are signs if people are interested. They just dabble in something. They don't think about it very much. They might get distracted quite easily. There could be various other things that stop them getting their purpose, their vision, their goals. Are very vague, no clear idea or any kind of plan, even an outline plan to actually move towards what they really want to get to. These are signs that people are interested, it's okay. But I'm not really committing to that. And there's no right or wrong. Again, please understand where I'm coming from with this. With signs that you're fully committed, you're just going to take action every day. From the moment you wake up, you get yourself together, and then you get out there and you take some action. If it's just small action one day because you're tired, that's fine. But you're going to take some action because you're going to rest, you're going to get your energy up, and then you're going to get back to it. And if you go to Money Remixed, very, very much about adding value, giving great service to other people, and creating good things in the world. Embracing setbacks. You know, if we don't have the money in our bank right now, it's all right. Doesn't matter. It's the mindset. The mindset is right. How do I get back to it, or how do I create something new? Rather than going backwards, let's go forwards and let's create something new that's actually going to give me the opportunity and others the opportunity to grow. Failure is never the end of anything. It's just a lesson. There are stories in Think and Grow Rich with Napoleon Hill's research over 25 years of 500 millionaires. There are stories in the 1930s in the Great Depression where people of 60 years of age ended up bankrupt. And by the time they were 70, they were millionaires because they had that experience. They had that experience and they said, right, I'm not going to be beaten. I'm going to dust myself off and I'm going to go again. And I think that's massively important. Surrounding yourself with positive people. Yeah, absolutely, Paul. Absolutely, Paul Hutchinson in the chat box there. Jane, welcome. Great to have you here. Have a roadmap, clear goals, clear strategy. You know, no guessing, but actually like, where are we going to go here? What are we going to do? Some people will just go big picture automatically. Other people will go more detailed automatically. There's no right or wrong. Let's just make sure we have these things in place for ourselves and how they're going to impact others and how it's going to help others. Define the why, okay? Purpose, isn't it? But why is your fuel? Why does it matter? Why am I going to do this? How's it going to help? I have daily reminders in my diary. Every single day, I look at my daily reminders and go, right, this is why I'm doing it. Who am I going to reach out to? What do I need to offer them? And how am I going to move things forward? Keep going, keep going, keep going. Specific goals, absolutely. Vagueness doesn't really work. You know, break any big goals into small steps, do 90-day goals. In 90 days, I would do X, Y, Z. Start small if you need to and build it. But if you know how to achieve your dream, then you're not dreaming big enough. So there's two sides to that as well. Okay. And then build the winning environment. We believe what we do here and what we will continue to do here is to build that winning environment, surrounding yourself with other people, join groups, people who challenge and inspire you. Find a coach, find someone who's going to keep you accountable and keep you moving forwards. And embrace challenges. Success isn't easy. Yeah. To continually be what Dawn and Noam were just talking about the sporting metaphor, continually being successful takes effort, you know, continually getting up and going, right, okay, let's succeed today. So I can lay my head on the pillow and know that it was okay, it was a good day. You know, embrace a challenge. Track, adjust things as you need to, what's working, what's not working, keep adapting, keep moving forwards, and keep succeeding. And ask yourself always, you know, am I all in? It could just be how I think, or how I feel. It could be my results with others, but are you all in? Because if you are, I'm guaranteeing you that it will be good. Okay, it could be work, relationships, and you decide. You know, I'm not telling you where to succeed. I'm saying that you get to decide this, but you decide interested or committed for sure. So are you interested or are you committed? You have a choice. Interested people dream, committed people take action. Yeah, inspired action. Action with the right data. Yeah, action with the right why. Convincing people always persist. They would never, ever, ever stop. They would just commit and commit and commit. You know, if you have to adapt, you adapt, but you stay committed. You find the time. You find the time. You don't wait for the perfect time. You find time and you make stuff happen. We all have 16, 17 hours a day that we're awake, potentially. And we need to make sure that we fill those hours well by doing good things. It's not luck. It's not coincidence. In fact, I say there's no luck or coincidence. You create your reality as you go along with what you think. So are you committed to that? Because that's the law of attraction. The law of attraction starts with what you think and feel. And that's how you attract people, opportunities, ideas. You attract all of this to yourself. And the hard bit is if it's stuff you don't like, that's where you have to go, oh, I've attracted this. I don't like this. Why not? You know, what don't I like about it? What can I learn from it? And very much, I was talking to Danielle the other day, and she set up a company, and it's called, you know, Inside Out Movement. And I think that's right, Danielle. Please use the chat box. But very much about, you know, we get the inside right, the outside results, they come, they happen. So it's a key point. So are you ready? Go all in. With e-colours, how does it ensure that you have a full commitment to your success and others? Well, we have the intentional communication guide that we share with people. Very easy document, but you have to learn it. You have to learn it. You have to understand it. You have to study it. You have to think to yourself, okay, if I'm getting indicators that someone's a top red, yellow, blue, green, am I approaching them in a way that's going to make sense to them? And once you do that, you start to be intentional. But I promise you, it takes practice. Yeah, you get a lot of people go, oh, I know about that. Yeah, okay. And yet, maybe you're still not getting the results you would really like. In that case, go back to this and study it again and again and again. And this is only one thing that we share, right? But it's a very, very important point because I never stop learning. As Leona was saying earlier, you know, I keep studying this information and I always find something new. And I'm listening. I never used to listen very much when I was younger. As a DJ and music man, it was all about me, my ego, the music, da da da. But actually nowadays, I believe I really tune in and listen. Could I be better? Sure. But I always tune in and listen as much as I can and hear the other person. Where are they coming from? You know, on this quadrant. Because the concept is well known, you know it. But understand others, understand self, know thyself, and then know others. And all of a sudden, you start to understand that someone who's higher green or blue will need more time to process things. That's fine. Yellow, red's more faster paced, don't need as much time. We'll just sometimes jump in, but sometimes jump in too quickly, by the way. But again, we need to understand all of these concepts and appreciate where people are coming from, and help them go with what they need to do. I really enjoyed as well, by the way, listening back to last week with Lewis around the whole piece around closing sales and actually being able to communicate with people on the selling front. Watch that video back on my YouTube channel, and just watch those slides again and again, you know, until you've mastered it. Once you've mastered it, you'll start to see better results. You know, last week's session was a really, really great session. So well worth investigating more and more. Be the best version of yourself as well. Work on being you and being the best of you and being able to play play strengths, not overplay, and pause potential limiters so that you actually start to get things better for yourself. Let's have a little chat about this. Where I'm naturally strong. So you can look at your own quadrant and then look at the other quadrants, perhaps where you have a lower percentage, and think to yourself, could I be a bit more in these areas? So from my perspective, with my 9% green, I only have one word, persistent, in green. There it is. That word there, persistent. It's the only word I've got in there. I'm not perfectionist. I'm not particularly accurate, although I try and I do my best at times. But I work with other people that can do the accurate things for me much better than I can. But I'm not particularly serious or analytical or any of these things, but I am persistent. Is there other things I'd like to improve in there? Logical would probably be quite helpful. I can see Emma nodding right now. I can see Paul Grant probably nodding right now. These are things that I would like to improve from myself. But, you know, that's right, Daniel. Yes, thank you. But who would like to share something about their own strengths and then where they'd like to improve?
Can I offer something here, Mark?
Yeah, please,
it's
mate.
only recently I've had quite a surprising light bulb moment, considering how many times I've sat and listened to this and worked with other people. My the blue within my spectrum, as it were, is the lowest of my percentages, and it's only now that I realize how much more I do focus on communicating more with people who I understand do have higher blue tendencies. So I will always start off by saying, before I get to what I'm about to say, I say, I'm going to offer something, but please respond and reply in your own time. Have a think about what I'm saying. There's no rush. And that always seems to put people at ease, rather than where in the past I would have expected an immediate reply. I've only just put those pieces of the puzzle together, as crazy as that sounds.
No, it's not crazy. It's beautiful, mate. And you know, you are fully committed to what we're doing here. You know, there's no doubt about that. So much so with the tattoo on the hand, right? So you are fully committed. You know, there's interested and then there's committed, and you've definitely committed. With that in mind, you know, with a lower percentage in that area, in the blue area, for you to help people feel at ease is a real big thing, because the top color red, quite often, you just want to go charge it in, get the result, and get on to the next task. I would assume, Andy, would that be fair?
Yeah, completely fair. And I realize after discovering people's e-colors why they are the way they have been, and it does take a little bit of an edge off the relationship. It's a beautiful thing.
It actually makes you more forgiving, I would suggest. You know, it makes you more
That's a
forgive.
brilliant observation.
Thank you.
It has made me more forgiving, and it's
Yeah.
taken myself out of the equation and not let my huge ego get in the way, and understanding that these people don't necessarily mean to offend me by their
Yeah.
slow deliveries or whatever, or their silence.
Yeah.
It's just the way they are, and having the patience to deal with that is a game changer.
That's right. Thank you, mate. Anyone else like to talk about that, and any area that they would like to improve in? Feel free to put your hand up. It's a bit about being in a vulnerable state, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, I've not done my colors, so I can't
Mm.
comment
Yeah.
on that. I see myself as yellow bleeding into red, but
Yes. Yeah.
I may not fulfill that. I think what I've become really a bit cautious about is putting myself directly out there.
Mm.
And that's not like me. I had a lot of success in my business for years, and I was very proactive. And I had so many connections. And as you get older, well, your connections die or they retire. I mean, it's
Yeah.
to be honest. And
Yeah.
COVID kind of put the lid on that, because people retired early and just disappeared off the face of the planet.
Sure.
So it's like I'm starting again, building connections,
Mm.
and that's quite a tough thing to do.
Mm.
So that I've got to get better at that. I've got to be doing something every day
Mm.
to make those connections, and to do it in a non-salesy way, if you know what I
Mm.
mean.
Well, you're in the right place for start, Mike, so you're very welcome here.
Yeah.
I would also add that my mentor, Bob Proctor, lived until he was 90, early 90s,
All right.
and worked until 2 weeks before he passed away, because he just loved what he did.
Well, he wasn't
And
Scottish, was he?
no, he wasn't, mate. Maybe you need to move slightly to a warmer patch. But no,
Yeah.
Mike, seriously, it's great
Yeah.
that you're here. Yeah, you know, you're in the right place, and you know, anything that we can do, you know, to support that journey for you, and get more connections and stuff like that. That's what this is about. So it's fantastic, mate, and yeah, long may it continue. So good work, thank you. Who else? Anyone else?
Can I just make a quick suggestion, or just drop in an idea?
Yeah, sure, mate.
Something that Mike could do is to kind of saying you want to get back into it and you were once successful. Why don't you start your own podcast? Because for me, it's all one of the biggest. Again, another great book I read was Key Person of Influence. You want to be known when someone thinks about something. You want to be that person that they think about. So if you're saying you're struggling to get out there, why don't you start doing like a weekly or monthly podcast about the topic that you are the master in, and just try that and get it out there.
Can I thank you, Paul? That's brilliant. And Mike, as an example, if you go onto Spotify or anything like that, you can look up the Intentional CEO podcast. It's actually Lewis Senior's podcast. He's done 2 episodes, and I've been on at him for a long time to say, come on, start sharing some stories. You know, you're 74 years of age, and you know, us younger people, we want to hear your stories and we want to understand more about what you've got locked up in your mind there. And so if you look up the Intentional CEO podcast, Lewis is actually been completely open and honest about all of his mistakes, and it's brilliant.
Can I just
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. I think you're absolutely right. I get invited onto a lot of podcasts, mainly in the States and in Europe, strangely enough. And the ones in Europe tend to be young people, and they say we need to hear older people's stories,
Yeah.
because that contextualizes things for us. And that kind of link has been broken over the last few years. That's a good shout, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great shout. And I think we'd all like to hear it, Mike. So plug into that red and get action, yeah?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. And that's what great, sharing of ideas for all of us here, Dawn, you got your hand up.
I'm laughing at myself here, one of which I'm a clear red, and I was very much solving people's problems, jumping in and telling them what they needed to do. And and now I'm more, I'm a coach. I've been training for years to not do that as a natural instinct. But I would invite Mike to think about, what would you really like to do?
Mm. Mm. And it's a key point. I mean, I think the key point is just to, project yourself. You have value. And I mean, you can be 75, you can be 25, you can be 15. To be honest, we do this e-colors with 10-year-olds and even 7-year-olds. At the end of the day, we all have value, every single one of us.
Yeah.
And we have a story to tell. And yes, everyone's making noise now because the internet has given us that, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing it. Mike,
Yeah.
you're unmuted. Do you want to say something?
No, I absolutely accept what you're saying. I mean, I come alive on stage. That I know, but I also come alive on screen. I've got much better at looking to the camera and being quite animated. So I think using my voice more. And I did one last week and I got really good response on LinkedIn and also TikTok, where I'm growing my following just by generically, not by trying to force the issue or paying for it. So my voice is my most powerful tool. And I'm a writer as well. So I don't want to be a writer. I've got one book out and I want to produce a definitive one, because I'm probably at the age now where I can do a definitive book, which would blow a lot of things open. And it is about the human imagination and what we can do when we be more creative. So yes, I do. I know what I want to do. That's clear. It's just taking the steps to get there again.
So, Mike, thank you for sharing. Only because of time, I'm going to press on a little bit, but thank you. That's brilliant. I'll connect with all of us, Mike, and let's continue the conversation for sure, mate. Brilliant. Thank you. Britt, Lee, you've got your hand up. How you doing?
Hi, can you hear me properly?
Yes.
So I think for me, to answer your question, the more obvious one, I would probably say the same as Andy, is leaning into that blue, to sort of lean on the more calm state and listening better as a top red and top green e-colors. Predominantly. So my husband balances that out for me and reminds me every once in a while. And I really do believe I've gotten way better at it over the course of the years, but it's definitely that conscious intentionality. And yeah, just to be more present in the moment, because I think as a top red and green, being so heavily task focused, we can just rush past the moment and miss it. And almost not take it in properly. So I've got people in my family to remind me of that every once in a while. But I would say the one that actually has been more top of mind for me more recently as a bit of an aha moment has been the yellow in me, because that's my third color. And because I've got a top yellow son, he reminds me every once in a while to show a little bit more animation. He'll come in, he'll say to me, "Mom, are you excited? Are you happy? Are you joyful?" And it shows me actually that he's wanting me, even though I'm excited about something, it's something that he wants me to verbalize or actively show in the moment and actually include him in that. So as a being so much on the independent side and so much on the task side, to be aware of the fact that when we are joining into things with other people, as a top red and top green, sometimes be a little bit more inclusive to share in that relationship moment, I think has been a little bit more of an aha for me on my yellow side.
And isn't life wonderful that I believe you've been blessed with a top color blue husband and a top color yellow son, despite the fact you're red over green, right? It's like, here's the other skills that you. I love life. Isn't life amazing? Brilliant. Thank you, Brittany. That's fantastic. I'll press on. Look, potential limiters. Which one can limit my progress? Think about yourself. Which one's going to limit my progress to commitment? you know Certainly me over talkative or emotional or disorganized are all things. I don't like the words manipulative in vain in yellow, but I can understand how sometimes my persuasiveness and my passion can come across to other people sometimes in a negative way. That's something that I can't control, but I certainly do my best to balance that out with people so that they understand where I'm coming from. Mike said about something about not being salesy. A lot of people can misconstrue my passion for sales, but actually my passion is to be of service. How can I be of service to all of you? How can this be of service to you? How can you then go and be of service to other people? And this is the key points. You're not going to win every discussion, but it's not about winning or losing. It's actually just about adding value. And some people need more time to think about it, and you can adapt your communication style. But I won't ask to come around the room now about this. I'm just going to finish up, and then we'll take the screen share off and have a sort of AOB around the room. But again, which ones are limiting your progress? You can have a quick look at those. Find your premium report, get your eColours premium report, understand this information, and analyze yourself and other people around you, and you'll start to see which ones are limiting your progress, but also which ones are limiting other people's progress as well. We talk about play and pause, the wristband, a lovely, amazing yellow-red wristband that I have, but you would all have your own ones. Pausing, playing, knowing how to use your internal pause and play button for your strengths and your potential limiters gives you a huge advantage when you and I mean truly master this. You commit to it and you master it, and then you share it with others. Because the key point here is embracing and leveraging diversity of thought. Like I said about Britt Lee, red over green with a top blue husband and a top yellow son. That's embracing, isn't it, in the family unit? Embracing and leveraging those best results and helping and listening to each diverse way of looking at life. I think is a beautiful thing. Remember Arnie? I do love Arnie and what he said. He's talked about investing in yourself, early to bed, early to rise, work, and advertise. You must tell people what you're doing, what you've achieved, what you can share, and let people know. Let people know. If some people don't like it, doesn't matter. There's 8 billion people on this planet. Okay, there are a lot of people for you to reach with your skills and what you do. And get to the chopper, Duncan. Yes, I hear you, mate. It's funny. Arnie's great documentary on Netflix is well worth a watch. I think Arnie shows quite a lot of top color red tendencies, to be honest. Remember, the Money Remix book is out as well. Grab yourself a copy. We cover so many subjects, all of the things we're talking about here, and understanding them and then mastering them. Paul and I have had different successes, different failures along the way, but we're happy to share it. Happy to share it with everybody to continually develop learning and knowledge. And then, of course, June the 24th, the big one, Personalities Remixed. And I mean the big one. We've put so much effort into this book. It's going to be like the Equilibria eColours Bible. We've put so much into it, and it's a fascinating, wonderful read. I've read it again and again and again, as you can imagine, as one of the authors. But I urge you to get it and to go through it. We really are looking forward to sharing this with every single person because we think it's going to be a real winner for people. On this Saturday, Andy and myself are doing a short awareness session with groups. It's completely complimentary. Best if you find out your eColours, even if you do the complimentary one first on Saturday at 9:30 a.m. If you'd like to join, you're very, very welcome. Andy and I will be leading that. Leona, hi. Got your hand up?
Yeah, hi. I was actually going to ask about Saturday. I'm just wondering if it's going to be recorded because I'm not sure that I can actually attend.
Probably not, but don't worry about that. We are going to do another launch day on Wednesday. Well, an actual launch day of the book on Wednesday, the 25th of June as well. So there's more coming this month, Leona. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
As you bring that up as well, we're actually going to stop these leadership series for the next couple of weeks. So remind yourselves, and I'll send out an email reminder. Next 2 Tuesdays, we won't be having a call, and then we're going to pick up again after that. So please do remind yourselves of that. But Leona, if you can make Saturday morning for even for an hour or a couple of hours, it'd be lovely to see you and everyone else as well. Always talk to us about being an e-colours practitioner, because we would love to have you on board. We're here actually in Spain at the moment because we're partnering with another coaching company who are going to take the e-colours out into their clients, which is wonderful. So really happy with that. New June dates coming for practitioners for the training. We'll let you know more about that as soon as possible. So we're going to do a little debrief around the room. What's gone well? How do you feel about your commitment to success and continual learning? And what are your actions going forwards? What are you going to do? So I'll take that off the screen. Well, obviously I want to say thank you. Let's take that share off. There we go. Now I can see you all. Lovely. Fantastic. So yeah, what's gone well today? Anyone like to share? Reed, you haven't shared anything yet. It's nice to see you.
Hey, good afternoon.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
good
work
morning,
out time zones.
good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Right, go on.
Yeah, I'm back in Dubai, back home in Dubai for a few weeks holiday, so with the family.
I see that.
What I would like to say is my mood and my feeling, the way I woke up this morning for various reasons wasn't the best. But sitting listening to everyone's feedback and yourself, Mark, on this call has given me a massive boost for the day. So thank you.
There we go. Build up those muscles, people. Let's go.
Exactly.
That's what it's about. It's repetition is mastery.
It's reset my thoughts in a positive mindset. Whereas, to be honest with you, when I woke up this morning, I wasn't feeling particularly positive. Didn't know why. Just was like, trying to shake it off. But this call has been a medicine that I needed. So thank you.
Well, connecting you and Martin, because Martin, you live across the road, right? You live in the what do you live? Where do you live? Town Square, isn't it?
Yeah, it's across the road. Every time I think about sending him a message, he's always in Saudi.
Hey Martin, how you doing?
Yeah, good mate. Good. We will do that. We'll do that catch up at one point.
We will definitely.
But when I'm here and you're here at the same time, that's the problem.
That's it. Connect, chaps, connect, because it's all
It'll
good.
happen.
Excellent.
It will happen.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you.
Thanks,
Merle,
man.
I haven't heard from you today, Merle. How you doing? And
sorry, trying to find my mute button. Yeah, it's all good. I've appreciated everybody's comments, and I like the idea of setting goals. I've been really lax about doing that, so that's something I need to repent of and do better.
Well, the first thing Merle, sorry to interrupt. The first thing I would say is your commitment. The fact it's 3 o'clock in the morning where you are and you're here, that's commitment, right? So all power, yeah. But yeah, goal setting is if we don't set goals, we end up being a bit of an aimless ship.
Yeah, that's right. If I can make a quick comment though, as far as strengths and limiters, being a red-blue, you notice that reds and blues are opposite sides of the spectrum. It's totally different on fast-paced or on people or task. And I think maybe Jane can relate to this too, because she's yellow-green, which is the same thing. Oftentimes feel like we're pulled in 2 different directions. And so sometimes it's hard to figure out who you really are when your strengths, your limiters are just opposite. I don't know. Jane, I see you got a thumbs up, so thank you.
Can I share with you, Merle? Right, I must share this with everybody. I work with a guy at Heathrow Airport. He's a very senior guy. He's an MBE. He's one of the top guys at Heathrow, and he's red over blue, and it's amazing, right? And when I showed him the e-colours and took him through a session, I showed him the red over blue and everything else, and I showed him his strengths and potential limiters and how he can be impatient 1 minute and slow to make a decision the next. And he said to me, Mark, that's the struggle. And I said, yeah, I understand. But the interesting thing for me is when you go into a meeting with him. So you're going for a meeting with him, and he goes full blue, And he's like, how you doing, Mark? Come on in, sit down. Do you want a cup of tea? How's Emma? How's Frankie? Is everything okay? What's going on with you? You know, he's totally blue for like 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden he bangs the desk and he goes, right, what are we getting on with now? And he's like, and you go, whoa. But when I explained it to e-colors, he went, yeah, that's the struggle. That's where he's at, because he's just got that red, blue back and forth. And it is often those kind of diagonals where as you say, it can be challenging back and forth. But we all have that, just maybe in different percentages. But when you're top 2% of that, then yeah. But it's a great perspective to bring for people and share it with people. Well,
No.
Brilliant.
Anyway,
Thank you. No, great to have you. And Andy, you put your hand up.
Yeah, very quickly. I shared something earlier, and I think it has some relevance to what we've been talking about, committed and interested. This is a meme that I found online, and it says, most people won't support you at the start, not because they hate you, but because they can't see what you see. They wait for proof, for applause, for others to believe first. If you want to build anything great, you have to master the skill of cheering for yourself, because by the time the world finally gets it, you'll already have made your vision a reality. And I think that goes some way to showing about being fully committed to something and believing in the journey, the trust in the process, right?
Have you ever seen, yes, Andy, have you ever seen, there's a video online, you can find it, it's about 3 minutes long on YouTube. I think it's called Leadership Lessons from a Dancing Guy. And if you get a chance, look up leadership lessons from a dancing guy, because there's this guy, right, and he stands in the middle of a field and he starts dancing like crazy, you know, arms everywhere, going, you know, and his arms and legs are going everywhere. Nicholas nodded, she's seen it. But this leadership lessons from a dancing guy, he basically stands, and it's almost like David Attenborough kind of commentating across, and like one guy's dancing, and then another guy comes in, and they both start dancing all crazy, and then within about 3 minutes, you've got about 500 people, and they're all. But the point is that's a leadership lesson, right? Sometimes you have to be the crazy one who's out there, you know, doing something before other people start to come to it and start to warm to it. So yeah, it's well worth a watch, and we all do that in our own way for sure. But yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Andy. I think the only person we haven't heard from that's on camera is Jane, I think. So I'll speak to Jane quickly, if you can unmute, Jane, if you're happy to, and then we can have an AOB if anyone would like to. Otherwise, we'll finish up. Jane, yellow over green. I'm sure you related to what Merle was saying there, with lots of detail in your mind, but also lots of chat, right?
And it's totally, you feel like I get like totally discombobulated, and like I'm just like one minute I'm like a million miles an hour. I'm like, whoa, stop, where's the detail, what am I doing? Like, and I'm like totally get that pulled in two directions. And I think it can be really, in a little way, I think it can be a little bit destructive. So I don't know if Mel will agree, but sometimes I can be so, I think because I'm being pulled in so many different directions, I can be really like super self-critical of myself, and like get into that green zone, and I want to be like in this space of like, you know, perfectionist and being like this, but then the yellow in me wants to run wild and go crazy. And then the green part of me gets really pissed at the yellow part. And I get like so cranky and so angry at myself for being that animated, over the top, yellow, talkative, take over the entire space. And then the green part of me is like, yeah, I totally get what Mel was saying. And it's hard work, you know, and I think sometimes, you know, I even would say this week, Mark, I was almost going to reach out to you and say, I am hating my yellow so much that I want to shut it in a box and never see it ever again. So
Jane,
yeah.
you can reach out to me anytime. You know that. I'm going to just for time. I'm going to give one little piece about that. Right. The key point to all of this is living in our strengths. Right. That's it. If you're yellow green like yourself, if you're red blue like Merle, or anyone else on this call, your top 2 e-colors. If we can learn to live completely in our strengths, that's happiness right there. Okay. And it doesn't have to be a conflict. It can be, you know, but we can work on it. And it might be more difficult for those diagonals to work on that. Yeah, it's understood. But it can be that we can live in the strengths So in Mel's case, he can be decisive and strong-willed and push forward, and he can also be calm and supportive and loyal. Yes, you know, and you can be accurate and perfectionist and great thinking, and also able to talk about that in a cultured, organized way, enthusiastic way. You know, if we're living in the strengths, we tend to get the happiness and we tend to get the better results. And it's a skill. It's absolutely a skill. And am I working on it? Of course I am. We're all working on it. But the key point is to keep working on it. And the more we do that, and the more we can live in those strengths. Like I memorize my strengths. I know the ones, you know, and I'm like, I just got to stay there. And if I find myself veering off into disorganized and some of the others, I try and bring myself back as quickly as possible. And I say try because it's an effort. It's an effort to do it. You know, I don't want to be there. Sometimes I just want to be having joy and fun and you know, but I make the effort, you know, and I can plug myself in and get that where I need it to be. But I would, all of you, and Jane, thank you for sharing, and I will carry on just for time, but reach out to me anytime. But you know, the play and pause and living in strengths is the beauty of what we're talking about, and then learning to share that with others. So hey, look, what a great call. It's been amazing. And the internet has held the whole way through. Hallelujah, brothers and sisters. But would anyone like to share anything just before we drop off? Are we all happy? Okay, brilliant. All right. So what I would say is, remember, we're not going to do the next 2 Tuesdays, okay? And I will send out an email about that. Next 2 Tuesdays, we're not doing anything. We're coming back with Personalities Remixed on Wednesday the 25th, and we're going to do a whole day of events with various people invited and contributors. There's 70 people have contributed to this book, right? To Personalities Remixed. And let's be clear, 1.4 million inputs into the system of people doing the questionnaire and stuff like that. It's a great piece of work. So we're looking forward to seeing you. Duncan, thank you for ordering Money Remixed as well. Bless you. Right. Okay. Lots of love. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you all very soon.
Thanks, everyone.
See you later.
See you.
Bye.